How many times have you opened up your to-do list and felt overwhelmed, staring at all of the different tasks that you'd like to accomplish today, but feeling frustrated that you don't know where to start and that things are quickly going to get out of hand? Well, in this video, I want to show you a simple 3-step method so that you can keep your to-do list organized and that you can finish your workday on a positive note. Hello everyone, Scott Friesen here at Simpletivity, helping you to get more done and enjoy less stress. Now, for today's example, I'm here within my Google Tasks account, but you can apply this exact same method in any task manager that you use. Now, the 3-step formula that we're going to use today is as follows. We're going to shift it forward, we're going to tackle our enemy and then separate the rest. Let's start with step number 1, and that is shift it forward. And what I mean by that is we are going to take some of the tasks here within our list and we are purposely going to move them to tomorrow, or maybe you have a this week list as you see here. We are simply going to move them out of this today to-do list. The reason being is that it is a psychological trick. When we have too many things here within our to-do list, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, and it can be depressing and despairing to get to the end of your day and still have too many things, 3, 4, or maybe many more waiting for you here at the end of your list. So what we are going to do is purposely move some of them out of our current to-do list. Now, my recommendation is that you should never have more than about 5 or 7 tasks on a given day. It doesn't mean that that's the only number of tasks that we're going to accomplish. In fact, on most days, I start pulling tasks from tomorrow, which kind of feel like a bonus because I accomplished everything today and I'm getting ahead of myself by pulling in tasks from the future. So what I want you to do is count up how many tasks you currently have in your to-do list. In this case, I have 9. I'm purposely going to move about 2 or 3 of these over here to this week. Another benefit of taking advantage of this step is that it's often easier to find the least important or the least urgent tasks rather than mulling over the most important 3, 4, or 5. So, for example, this new intro about the About page, I don't need to do that today. In terms of selecting these 5 clients to visit, I've got more time for that. And lastly, maybe this one here, researching these new payment options. I'd like to get them done today, and actually there's a good chance I'm going to get them done today, but immediately I've reduced my total to-do list. Now I'm going to make it even a bit simpler here by removing some of the other lists here in front of me so I can just focus on today's to-do list. Now I've got 6 things in front of me, and I want to move on to step number 2, and that is tackling our enemy. And what I mean by that is that we want to highlight the most difficult or the most challenging task on our list next. Not necessarily the most important and certainly not the most urgent. The reason why I want you to focus on your most difficult task is because if you don't do that task first or early in the day, it's going to continue to weigh on you. It's going to continue to sit in the back of your mind, even as you're trying to accomplish or engaged with other tasks. So I would rather that you start by focusing on the most challenging or the most difficult task. Not only can you get it out of the way, get it out of your head, but it can be really rewarding to get that thing out of the way and give you further motivation to work on your list. So as I go through this list, I want to ask myself, what am I most likely to defer if it's still on my list later in the afternoon? If I don't accomplish this in the first 2 or 3 hours of my day, how likely am I to give up on it and simply defer it till tomorrow? So as I look through this particular list, I can see that this one actually at the top, reviewing the social media marketing strategy, that's not only going to take the most amount of time, it's going to take the most amount of mental energy. This is certainly the most difficult task on my list. Now, depending on the tool that you're using, you could simply put it at the top of your list if you want to, but I would recommend that you use something like the star feature here within Google Tasks. Maybe you have labels, maybe you have flags, but some way to highlight your your most difficult task, your biggest enemy in this case, as we strive to tackle our most difficult task. Now, the reason that we want to do this is because this leads into the third and final step, and that is separating the rest. And what I mean is that we don't want to have to keep coming back to this particular list. As we're focusing on our number one task, it is only human nature. If we have to keep coming back to this list, we're going to start scanning the other to-dos. We're going to start looking for low-hanging fruit. Maybe something like this, finding a gift for Jane's birthday party. Yes, it's important, and yes, I'd like to accomplish it today, but that's kind of more of a fun task. Like I'm kind of looking forward to this. I could easily do this later in the afternoon. But if I keep seeing it here, I'm more likely to come down and take advantage of that and start doing this task even when I have many more important things to do. So by starring this particular task or highlighting your most difficult task, you can take advantage of a few different things. Number one, here on the left-hand side, we can simply filter by starred. So now it's the only task I'm seeing, and I can focus on that exclusively until it's done before I go back to the rest of my tasks. Here, if I'm in my Google Calendar view and I have the Google Tasks sidebar view, rather than seeing everything here on the right-hand side, which again is going to probably pull me away or wear me down or increase my feelings of being overwhelmed, I can come up here and look at that starred view as well and just have that first most difficult task in front of me. Everything else has been separated. Everything else has been hidden. I can focus on this. Once I've accomplished it, perfect. Then I can go back to my to-do list and maybe pick the next most challenging. You don't always have to work from a difficulty perspective. I highly recommend that you do for that first task of the day. But now maybe I can pick the very next thing that is important, come back, look at that starred view, and just focus on that particular task. And then coming back to our full view here, once you've completed your entire task list, which will most likely be a lot more manageable, not only because we've reduced the total number, but we've also knocked off the most difficult task first thing in the morning, we can then start pulling from our future tasks. And this is a great way to finish off your day. Like I said before, it almost feels like a bonus. It almost feels like you've gotten to a new level as you're accomplishing tasks that you actually didn't intend on doing today. Even though we moved these three tasks from our to-do list from today, sometimes it's those small psychological tricks that can go a long way and help you finish off your day strong. Now, if you're looking for even more ways to go from overwhelmed to organized, I recommend you watch one of these videos next. And if you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, being productive does not need to be difficult. In fact, it's very simple.